Welcome to another episode of Industrial Amputation, where you can always expect the unexpected. Today we have with us an extremely talented musician who has been making amazing guitar-driven electronic music since the early 90s. His albums like Wisdom, Skin, Let Down Crush, and Super Cool Nothing are music staples, absolutely worth checking out. He has a new album coming out July 25th on Metropolis Records. We warmly welcome to the show Eric Powell, 16 Volt. Eric, thank you for being here.
Oh,
Yeah,
thanks for
thanks,
having
Eric.
me. My
Welcome,
pleasure.
man.
My
Cool.
Cool.
pleasure.
Yeah.
So let's get into the album. The name of the new record is More of Less. What's the story behind the title, and does it tie into this release thematically?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I mean, so more or less is so we always kind of like the self-deprecating humor,
Yeah.
Uh, so it's really like it's just more of less, you know. Uh,
Mhm.
less being like, just it's less. No, it's not. I mean, it's not to me, but it's just sort of, being funny. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what it's about. And I mean, thematically, yeah, I mean, a lot of the songs you kind of play into that a little bit. I mean, the title track is really about, we're all aging, right? So,
Yeah.
it's like, the lyrics are really centered around like, we're not done yet, but I think you thought we were,
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, that's
so that's
true.
kind of what that was all about. Yeah.
Right on.
Who
Yeah,
worked
I,
with
I
you on the
We
totally
still
get
record?
the
have more to say. It's
self-deprecating thing.
less,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
but there's more.
Yeah. If you can't tell, I,
Us.
I absolutely get the self-deprecating thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So who worked with you on the record, and what do you feel they bring to it?
Well, I mean, for the last few years, I mean, I've been working on these songs. My main sort of collaborator has been a guy named Abel Autopsy. And he's been around in several forms. I've co-written a lot of stuff with him in the past. He's used different aliases. Scott Robinson is one of the names he's used if you see his credits on our earlier stuff. But he has a band now called Eyes of Your Eyes, like super heavy band. I've been doing a couple little guest vocals on his tracks, but um, so yeah, really it was just him and I bouncing just little things off each other, just having fun, no intentions of anything, as
Yeah.
usual. Well, I shouldn't say as usual. Think this record for me to kind of sidestep a little bit is probably a lot closer to like Let Down Crush or like Full Black Habit.
Mm.
Um, I didn't have any reason to rush anything or like compromise anything. It was
Yeah.
really sort of like, an isolated endeavor. There wasn't really anyone super involved in it,
Mhm.
or any kind of timelines or whatever. So that was the main guy that I was working with in the beginning. And then as we got closer to like, okay, now this is actually happening, like I have to start, finishing these things. And I brought in a couple guys, Sean Payne, just
Yeah.
'cause for me, like if I'm doing everything, I feel like I start to lose perspective and like I like to get a little bit of fresh sparkle on things. And so
Yeah.
it's fun to just send the tracks to somebody who, I know is competent and is great and gets the band and can like put a little flavor on it that I wouldn't have done myself.
Yeah.
Um,
John's freaking awesome, dude.
yeah, he's awesome. And uh,
Yeah.
he did a lot of stuff. A lot of it, he always over delivers, and so a lot of it we didn't end up using just because it was like so much stuff. And there's a lot of things where he did stuff where I'm like, this is better than what I did, so I'm gonna take out,
Yeah.
So yeah, and then towards the end, for drums, I'm not a drummer, and Servo has been in 16 volt for
Yeah.
what? I mean, God, it's like decades now, I think.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
actually have shoulder surgery, and we were trying to hit the timeline on the record to like get it out by a certain point, and so he just wasn't feeling healthy enough to like play drums on the record. So
Yeah.
um, he kind of like allowed me gracefully to like use Galen Whaling to
Another
play
great,
drums on the
great.
record.
Yeah.
Yeah, great
Yeah.
drummer.
Wow.
Awesome, man. Yeah.
So
Servo.
yeah. So, Servo's doing good now. He's back. He's like kind of doing PT right now and getting his
Yeah.
shoulder back
Yeah.
in shape for
I've got a, yeah, I got
Yeah.
hit by a SUV while cycling and just
Oh, gee.
destroyed my shoulder. And yeah, that was a hell of a time. So yeah, Servo,
Yeah, no, he'll do
wish you
fine.
well, man.
Yeah.
It hurts, but just stay on top of that PT, man, because I've got full range of motion back, and my bicep is screwed into my humerus now, and
Lovely.
yeah, it's but yeah, it deformed my arm a little bit, but actually I think it made it look better because it made my bicep stand out better.
There you go.
Like,
You
can
can
I
say,
just click on this one to do that with that one?
you
There we
just have
go.
to say, check out my gun, not my
Yeah, check out
guns.
my gun.
But, uh,
Check out my gun.
but yeah, Galen did an awesome job. Really like super appropriate, not over the top, just pretty simple.
Mhm.
We've always kind of liked our drums being kind of simple, right? Like
Yeah,
we're trying not to do like full on like rock drumming, not
Yeah.
a lot of fills and things like that. Like keep it real meat and potatoes. And
so
Mhm.
you don't want to pull a Peter Chris out of your hat
no, not really. Or Neil
or,
Peart, right? No,
or Neil Peart? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
no rototoms on this record.
No rototoms.
Sorry.
Yeah. Wow.
So, do you have any tracks that you think really stand out that you'd like to mention?
So we're going to be dropping the first single. I just found out actually yesterday, on June 20th, and it's a song called White Noise.
Okay,
Um, and it's, kind of a great mix of like, it's pretty upbeat. It's got some guitars in it, got a lot of electronics in it, you know, um,
Mhm.
kind of like the perfect mix of 16 volt, I feel like. And uh,
nice.
so we kind of decided to do that. And there's another song on the record too that I think Metropolis really wants to release. And so I kind of like went back and forth a little bit with them, and they're like, "Well, it's your choice, it's your project." And then when we went with our choice, they were like, "Okay, well, maybe we'll do another single after that," which is the one they. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's a great technique. I gotta use that."
That's pretty awesome. You can do
But
what you want.
right,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. And then somehow we get two singles out of it, so that's
There you
great.
go.
Yeah,
That's a way to work it, man.
yeah. The total accident though.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. You probably couldn't get it to work that way again.
Yeah. But we did, one track that when we did Cold Waves a couple years ago, we put a demo version of a song called If You Like It on that comp, the Cold Waves comp. And I mean, it was
Yeah,
very much a demo version. And like the lyrics are even different on the actual release version now. So some people have heard a little taste of that. And we played that one live at Cold Waves too. So that one's on
that's
there
cool.
too, which is,
Mm.
it's one of my favorites on there.
Right on,
But
man.
overall, I really like the whole record. I think it's like a really good representation of all the albums together, but especially to me, it really leans like Full Black Habit.
Yeah,
So
Mm.
I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see what people think.
yeah.
As long
Spent the last week kind of going back through your catalog, and it's yeah, I'm looking forward to getting this new one. So
yeah, yeah, it'll be good. And it's funny too, because taking so long to do it, like we probably have a whole nother album just ready to, start working on. So pretty, it's like, what are
Yeah.
we doing? Why are we doing this again? But
I don't
Mm. How many albums do we have in all?
um, so counting re-releases, this is I think our 13th full length, but that's counting six or no, more than that.
Mm.
No, that's counting five re-releases.
know.
So
Mm.
really it's like what? I mean, I can run through them. I just can't remember. Wisdom in Let Down Crush, Super Cool Nothing, Full or American Porn Songs or Full Black Habit. I can't remember which one came first. And then we had Negative on Rivals, and then or no, I
Mm.
don't even remember, man. It's like 10 or something, I've
Yeah.
lost count. I've lost count. And I'm really bad
That's
at
good. That's good, man. It's fucking awesome.
So have you finished
Really.
everything on this one? It's all ready to go. There's no re-recording or you
No, it's
tweaking or
done.
anything going on?
It's
All
yeah,
right.
it's out the door. We did mastering with the guy here in Portland that man, I think we did our first record or second record with him. We did a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff with him um
Mm.
in the earlier days, and then the last batch of stuff that I worked on with that producer, we ended up using a different mastering facility, down in LA and stuff. But I came back to the guy. His name's Ryan Foster, here in Portland, and that was done like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and
Mm.
everything got turned in. And there's an artist from Estonia that I really like, love her stuff. Her name is Greta Laus,
Okay.
and I asked her if she would want to do the cover artwork, and so she graciously, did. And so I was really excited to have her
Fucking awesome.
work on that too. So yeah, we got all that back, and then I had to do the layout and all that stuff on it. But that was yeah, it was turned in a few weeks ago, and out of my hands now.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Can we expect to see a music video for the single?
We're thinking about it. It's tough. I'm having, I have a friend. I won't mention his name right now, but he's a higher sought after kind of guy, and we're trying to figure out. It's like, is it like we're not going to get a return off of what we'd have to spend to do it,
Mhm.
Like, does that really make sense? So we're kind of debating on that. It's hard to find, people that do video. I've never been a huge fan of that anyways. I'm like, I don't know, man. It's hard to do videos for me because I get way too conceptual, and then I just can't realize what's in my brain. It's just
Mm.
probably too expensive and not even possible. So,
Yeah.
I
I
don't,
feel that.
the whole
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I get kind of self-conscious in that context too. It's not like my favorite place to be. So,
Mhm.
Fair enough. Yeah.
yeah, I've never really wanted to be like this like front man kind of dude.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Good front man.
Did you have any gear you
that's
felt
what
was
people
essential when you wrote and recorded this album?
was what? I'm sorry.
Do you have any gear you felt was essential when you wrote and recorded the stuff?
Gear, well, I mean, yeah, so I've been like totally upgrading my studio for the last few years. I really wanted to have a studio in my house that was like professional level. Like there's
Yeah.
really no reason unless I'm recording drums for me to have to go anywhere. And I also want that vibe, right? Like, because I mean, I grew up, I went to recording engineering school when I was very young. I left high school early to do it. And, for me sitting in front of a console and just having that vibe is like, that's when for some reason, I just feel like I'm actually doing stuff that's,
Mhm.
for me, just like sitting in front of a laptop, it just doesn't have the same vibe for me. So it's a lot of it's vibe, but like, yeah, I mean, I upgraded my studio, and so I have a SSL set up at my house now, um,
Right
and
on. Yeah, you got a pretty sweet setup behind you. I can
yeah,
see.
it's
Yeah.
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 it's my favorite place to be, and
Yeah.
so gear for me, yeah, I mean, for me, like getting the SSL stuff in here was huge, just to like feel like I'm pushing faders and like this is actually
Yeah.
real, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
What are you using back there?
This is all SSL controllers, and I run Pro Tools. Most of the plugins I use for like recording, not like effect kind of stuff, but like for
Mhm.
dynamics and things like that, is a mixture of SSL and Slate,
Okay.
um, Slate Digital. Been loving that stuff for a while, and I've used it now for enough years, and I really focused again this time because I was like, I'm just going to do this myself. I wanted to level up like my skills. So
Yeah.
really like worked on stuff like even just sitting with like one compressor and running just one thing through it and just really like pushing it around and seeing like what different things do,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like really learning the differences between like why is this compressor different than this one, like where she'd use this one or that one. And like the cool thing with Slade is you kind of get all these like you know super high end and sought after pieces of gear that like there's no way I could afford any of that stuff
Right. Yeah.
in
Right.
quantity.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, most of the stuff's in the box for us these days. Even guitars, all the
Yeah.
guitars didn't use any real cabs or anything. I didn't want it to sound like that on this record. I think when people
Mhm.
hear the guitar is definitely more like electronic-y sounding. It's not like, we weren't going after like the huge Mesa, sounds on the,
Mhm.
there are moments, but like
Yeah.
a lot of it's a lot more just like, preamps and like pushing preamps to,
Yeah.
break and
Yeah.
stuff
Well,
like
the
that.
technology's really fucking gone in a big way up. And I mean, because you've got everything so encompassed in a small space now. I mean, I really enjoy my big consoles, buttons and knobs and faders. And, uh, but it,
Yeah.
it it took a while to kind of get used to sitting with a laptop and a fucking little.
I mean, it really does make a difference, if you're
It,
like in
it
the
does.
moment and you're like, because I kind of start mixing as I write, like
Mhm.
have to. I can't leave things alone.
Yeah.
Like the bass has to sound close to what I think it should sound like. So I have to sit there and do it. But like having to stop and do something where you have to like, click, open a plugin, find the one you're looking for, click, open it up. Like by that time, I mean, I can just be like, on my,
Yeah.
console, like dialing in a bus, compressor or whatever. It's always there, ready to go. So
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I did a weird experimental piece where I had the same guitar track that I had pulled in. I had cut and paste, just mangled the hell out of it, kind of collage style. And then I put it into like 6 different tracks and then started playing with different cabs and stuff for each one. So they're all in there and all different and all
yeah,
the same at the same time. And it's so fun just to get in and just go weird in the studio. Yeah, I mean, there's so much you can do with this digital technology now that
yeah.
get in there and get
Yeah.
lost. Not I don't know. It might not be a great thing for some people, but I like tinkering and
Yeah, I think once you get your set of stuff, right? Like
yeah,
it's like anything else. Like I know how this is going to respond to this or whatever, like whatever it might be, right? Like SSL bus compressor. Right? Like I know that compressor well now, and like I know how
yeah,
it's going to work, and so I don't really explore outside of that now because I know what
yeah.
that is.
But to get yes, what they expect.
You
Yeah,
got your you've got your setup like Slash does. It's all in
kind
front
of.
of you. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I mean, like when we did Super Cool Nothing, I mean, there was just like that guitar situation was like legendary, with Bill Kennedy,
Yeah.
rest in peace. But um, we had guitar splitters. I mean, there's points there where we were running 7 amps at the same time, all split out real time. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like I don't even know where I could do that anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I don't know anybody who has that many amps anymore either. So
Yeah.
like I could probably find a room, but I don't know anybody who has all that stuff. But with the
Yeah.
computer thing that you said, you can just like,
My bandmates have a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
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 Well, I don't know if they'd be willing to send it out to me for the
I
next.
I can ask.
Send me your gig. Send me your rigs.
Yeah.
All of them.
2 pallets are arriving next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That
So is there going to
Yeah.
be a tour on the horizon to promote more of less?
is a great question. So for me, it sounds weird because, I say I don't really like being a frontman, but I do love playing live. And even more than playing live, I love touring. It sounds wild,
Yeah.
but like, I mean, it really is like a love of mine. Just being, I mean, I always help load in, load out. I just
Yeah.
love cases. I'm like a total nerd
Yeah.
about that stuff. Like, I
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
case for
How's your back?
Yeah.
it's doing a lot better. But no, I've always loved doing that, and I mean, I'm like the guy, like, I don't, I'm the singer when we play, so I don't really have to, I mean, I could just show up like before we go on, but I'm always like, right when this load in, I'm there.
Get move.
Yeah,
Yeah, just hitting the whole pie.
I'm helping even other bands. I mean, Levi, when we toured together, I was
Yeah.
like helping him with his back line, and stuff like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that
I
environment.
just love it too. I love it
Yeah.
too. I
Yeah,
miss, that's what I miss,
yeah.
Yeah.
the camaraderie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. So I mean, yeah. So your question is, are we going to tour? Yes, I want to.
Okay.
It has to be the right situation, though. Like I
Yeah.
don't really see us going back out in like a van for 8 weeks or anything like that.
Mm.
I just don't. It's like not that I'm egotistical about it. I'm not. It's just that like I don't. Yeah, I don't want to take more years off the end of my life, and
Yeah.
I know what it does to a band. To your
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah. No doubt.
It can be
Mm.
rough,
So,
but
Eric, 16 Volt was a special guest announcement for this year's Mechanismus Festival in Seattle. Congratulations, by the way.
thanks. Yeah.
Was stoked to see you added to this incredible lineup. Can't wait to see you. Am I able to ask what may be in store for us and who will be in the lineup?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so that was we were kind of a last minute, add on to that. It actually made perfect sense because it was like we kind of need to get the ball rolling on playing shows, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
last show we did was at Cold Waves a couple years ago, so it made sense, and we were stoked to do it. Got offered the headline spot on Friday, and then
Yeah.
our Frontline's going to be on Saturday, so I don't know, just cool. We're going to see all those guys, and
Yeah.
Ministry is actually playing in town the night that we're playing, though, so
Yes,
that's
you are. Yes. So I am
like,
Industrial Amputation is sponsoring Mechanismus. And And I'm going to be there doing backstage interviews. I'm also going to have a GoPro out while the bands are playing and hitting up fans and vendors and whatnot. If you see me, say hi.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I'll see you.
And
Yeah.
oh yeah, no, that was for the people out there.
Oh,
Yes,
for the people. Yes.
you'll definitely see me. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but yeah, it's fantastic to have you out there.
It should be fun. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a smaller
It'll
room,
be
whatever,
yeah.
and I like that because it's like okay,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
if
Do you know which building you're going to be in yet?
it's the
Is
whole
it
thing is
Madame Lou's?
it is yeah. From what I know, the whole thing is at Madame Lou's again.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's going to be one night maybe at El Corazon, but I can't remember. But
Mhm.
yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, Madame Lou's is a great venue. It's tiny, but they've got a good stage. They've got a great staff. It's connected to the Crocodile, and
Yep.
so the Crocodile's upstairs. You're gonna have a great time. It's a fucking wonderful place, man. So
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, I've talked to a bunch of people who've played it and just the family vibe,
yeah,
Mhm.
it's there. And I mean, for me, it's like I feel with Cold Waves, like that's where, I'm like definitely part of the Cold Waves family, whatever that means, right? Like for
yeah,
me, that's such nostalgia and such like warm feelings with everyone that is involved in any aspect of that. And
yeah.
so,
Yeah.
I'm not,
That's Novak's thing. Yeah, Jason
yeah,
Novak's. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. He's fucking.
Um, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of checking that out and seeing the vibes. But I mean, it's got such a great track record. Like we're just stoked to be able to do it. And the guys that are playing with me is of course Servo. He's going to come out from New York, and then
Right
Yeah.
on. We'll compare scars, Servo.
yeah, yeah, uh, and then Steve White is going to play guitar.
Oh, fucking
Nice.
right on, man.
Yeah,
On the
so that'll be
pig. That's
fun.
great.
That's awesome, dude.
Um, and then Jason Novak is going to be playing bass,
Oh,
Holy
fucking great.
shit.
which is fun. Yeah, and then
Okay. Oh,
Sean Payne is actually going to be playing keyboards for us too. So.
oh my God. I'm gonna be seeing so many people that I really, really have been wanting to see for a long time. This is awesome. I'm
Yeah,
very
it'll
happy
be
to hear
it'll be
that,
a
man.
fun lineup. We
So,
had that same lineup minus Sean for the last Cold Wave, and it was we had just a hell of a good time. It was super fun. So
oh, right on, man. Yeah, we'll make sure you have a good time. Absolutely. Hey, Ollie wanted me to remind you not to leave personal items in the car.
yeah, yeah.
So sounds like there might be a story there. Is
Well, I told him I was like, I'm gonna drive up. Do you guys have parking? And he's like,
oh
"Ooh,
my God.
yeah, you don't. I don't. So now I'm like, shit. Like maybe I'll just take the train up or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. No, it's okay. Yeah, just don't leave personal items in the car. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
He's like, which is
I
tough because
I've
we're
been
staying at the
lucky to.
hotel.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you should have covered parking. Yeah, you should be all right. But
Mhm.
Always
but yeah,
something.
I asked him if he had anything he wanted me to bring up while you were on today, and that was his. And
That's
also
funny.
the person that designed our logo, Wayne Yankee, I believe.
That
I'm
sounds right.
very sorry, Wayne. Let me see. Hold on, I got to get to it. There was. He said, ask Eric about 16 volt on Midi Ghetto in Fargo, North Dakota. It was like May 5th, day before my birthday, and it was basically a birthday show. Jared ended Summer of Hate in a wheelchair they found in the VFW basement, and I joined for Cut Collector. You want to tell us about that little?
Man, it's been so long. I might be embellishing a little bit here and there, but basically, um, from I remember because I booked a lot of that tour. You got to have fill-in dates, and the West Coast and that spot up there between like Seattle and Chicago is really
Mhm.
hard. There's not a lot of stuff going
Yeah.
on, so you got to kind of try to do the routing smart enough that you can hit like Colorado and then kind of work your way towards the weekend and you kind of want to
Yeah.
have a week of dates in there, which is hard to do. And so we got this offer to go play in Fargo, and we were like, Fargo, like
Mhm.
that's wild. Is it like, is there actually any place? And then, we're like, what's the venue? Da 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 da. We're trying to find it, and then it turns out it's a VFW hall.
Yeah,
So we're like, this is going Spinal Tap really quick.
dude,
Yeah.
that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, and so, but we were all about it. Like, we're like, this is going to be awesome, whatever it ends up being. Like, it's cool. Like, and talking to Wayne, I was like, this dude's like super cool, and like he's excited. And I mean, I'd
Yeah,
almost rather do that than like some jaded, bitter person who's like, whatever.
right.
But he was just thrilled. So we had a bus on that tour, and so we pull up, and it's the VFW hall, and there's all kinds of seniors like working their way into the bar, and they have gambling there and stuff. So you go in the doors, and it's like the first floor, and it's a senior kind of vibe in there, and they're all half shot, and spending the rest of their money on the gambling machines, and they're just looking at us like we just rolled into town on our horses, and we're gonna like rob the bank and then it was a lot of cold looks from cowboy hats. But yeah, so we go downstairs, and we start to do the load in, and we're like, so I think he might have been late or something like that. But it turns out we were like, where's the PA? Well, there's no PA. We're like, yeah, we need you have to have a PA.
Man.
So I mean, it was that level of like craziness.
Wow.
And I think he ended up like his mom brought his mixer from home or something. And I mean, it was very like,
Oh, that's fucking awesome, man.
very like we realized it, and it's no disrespect to him or anything, but it was very like probably the first time you had a show come through like that, right?
Yeah.
And so it was like no lighting, we had some stuff that we brought, but that was basically it. And
Yeah.
I think there was maybe like 10 people there. And from what I recall, I think his parents were there, and they like brought, cupcakes or something. And it
Oh,
was,
dude, that's
it was
awesome.
just, it was like, it was very different, but it was also really cool. But it was, it was funny too.
Yeah.
Um, we're just like,
Oh
there's a,
man, that's fucking
tour bus
awesome.
outside costing us, $2,000 a day. And we're like, you know, playing the VFW hall in Fargo.
Looking for wood
Wow.
chippers.
Unreal. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, speaking of people you've worked with, you and our own Levi have a long history. Would you guys like to chat for a bit about how you met?
I mean,
Yeah,
I can tell you when I came down, but I mean, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, no. No, we met on the Sex Posing tour, my first tour with Thrill. And me being new at that at touring, I would see, meet with people, you know, like normal everyday people. And Eric was there with his friends, and we hit it off. Everyone else in the band weren't like me. I was like more the guy who's like, a fan.
Yeah.
I'll always be a fan.
Yeah.
And Eric was you guys were waiting patiently, and the show was gonna be on for a while. And I was like, wow. And no one would talk to them. No one would hang out. It's my first time ever in Portland. And that's where we bonded. And I knew that's what he wanted. I know that Eric, him waiting for it to see the band made me feel like, he's a real fan.
Yeah.
He's a real artist. And through the years, he's always been supportive. You know, I've been through a lot of shit, and Eric was always cool. Always cool with me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, maybe I was terrible or something. I don't know. I don't think I was terrible anymore. But in this business, everyone finds something ugly and they'll ride it. But Eric always stood away from all that. You always stood away, and you've always been supportive of me, and I support you big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Now you have an institute called 16 Volt. I wish I was hung around more. I didn't even know what high school you went to or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
All I know is that you came and you wanted to see a show, and I said,
Yep.
"That's what I got to do."
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to see my heroes again,
Yeah,
and
and then to this day, you know, guys like Servo and who else? I guess Curse.
mhm.
um, Alan Wade, you know, Alan from Wade from
Yeah.
Yeah.
from Christ Analog.
Yeah.
All those guys always all been supportive,
Yeah.
for whatever I've been into, and I've always wanted to have my own album or have something. Someone said put an album out, Levi, of songs that I played on but never got paid on.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really care about the pay. I just like to play. You know.
Yep.
And when I saw you guys at the Dome Room, I said, "That's the band.
Yeah.
Oh, and
That's
then
a
in
six
Chicago,
inch
yeah.
shit,
That
man."
was
I
like the
said,
first time we played with Acumination, I think.
"Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
back those times, like, I mean, we were on
yeah,
the road for 9 months straight. I think we played many shows with Acumination, and toured and like,
yeah,
we had van races in the middle of nowhere and just a lot of like
yeah."
Oh,
adolescent
yeah.
hijinks and a lot of
Yeah.
stupid stuff. I'm surprised any of us are, made it through all
So
that.
Yeah.
yeah, I know. But I went out with when I went out with Kim Lab,
Yeah,
and that was funny.
that was a fun
That
tour. Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah.
Every show was good.
I
Yeah.
Believe it or
remember,
not.
it's funny. I have two memories of that show that just jumped into my head. One was that we were playing in DC at Third Column, was it? Fifth Column, I mean, Fifth
Fifth
Column.
column.
Um, and
Um,
we were sharing a backline. So Mike, our old bass player, was using your rig, or
yeah,
no, yeah, yeah, it was your rig. And I remember because
yeah,
you had a big Ampeg, 8x10, and like that was
yeah,
what we're all about. So, anyways, to
Yeah.
make things easier on tour, like sometimes you can share backline with the headliners,
yeah,
whatever. We're doing that. So I just remember one show we're playing, and I look back and I see Mike was like doing his tornado stuff, and
yeah.
I just see your whole rig just start to come forward and just
Or it go, damn.
right in the middle of the show, and I was just like, dude, Levi's gonna kill us, man. Like
Oh,
he's
man.
gonna beat
I
our
remember.
ass, and
I remember.
yeah, you were really cool about it. We got it back together.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh my God.
between
No,
we were all
no.
standing around you the whole rest of the night, making sure we're like, do you need anything, man? Like, you know,
I remember.
yeah,
I remember
yeah,
that explosion. No,
Uh,
no. I always wanted to, I had stuff, and being on a tour where it wasn't no budget, and it was just good to share the stuff, man. It was like backline, you know, Mike. I love him to death. I learned a lot of stuff from him.
yeah,
And that minimum can be a lot, and he just had a certain thing about how he approached playing bass.
yeah,
You know, they call him country. So
yeah.
like, and
Texas, like crazy Texas eye.
yep, yep. How is he doing nowadays?
Bro, I don't know. He's kind of just not around.
Oh yeah,
After he left, he had a really horrible incident that happened to him. He hit a pedestrian in his car. It wasn't his
yeah,
fault. He was not at fault for it. But it really like messed the girl.
that'll mess you up, man.
yeah,
Yeah, it really messed her up and like for life. And so that in turn really messed him up. And
Jesus
yeah,
Christ. Wow.
he's been a while kind of trying to work through all that. And I think he just didn't. I think
huh,
he was just done. He was done with all the madness, and he
yeah,
just kind of unplugged, like just doink, and that was it. He's not
yeah,
on social media. Um, yeah,
mhm,
I don't know where he is. I assume he's still in LA, but yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. He moved to LA
I
and
did
shit.
see him a few years ago. He came to one of the Cold Waves shows in LA.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, he came out and we talked for a little bit. God, but that was like what I don't know, a decade ago or so. So I
yeah,
haven't
yeah, yeah. So yeah, and I would listen to all the bass parts and all of the tracks, all the 16-volt tracks, and I'll be like, damn, that's some deep shit.
yeah, just like simplicity, man. But like
Yeah,
he
and
wrote
it was
such good hooks too. I mean,
yeah, good hooks. He was
yeah,
on the point, you know, and I'm learning how to edit myself I always used to go, Eric, can you do this? What, can you do something, and they'd be like, yeah, Levi, yeah, whatever, motherfucker. And the thing is, I just like to do things myself. So now that I'm here healing, I'm just trying to edit so I can record my bass.
Yeah.
Just recording my bass. I know how to do that. Now I've been so spoiled and so fortunate through the years to have people or be around people or around
Yeah.
artists.
You could just go down the street and hang out at Chicago tracks and,
Yeah, exactly. That's
yeah.
what I used to do. And
Yeah.
and I just get up on something. And so now, I knew how to do those things, but like everyone would say, let me do it,
Right.
and I'm like, whatever,
Stay
just
in
do
your
it.
lane, man.
Yeah, exactly. Stay in your lane, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And you don't know where you're at anyway. So
Yeah.
so I would just I just pick up, I pick up and fit in, feel in. I'm and that's the thing that I miss about Chicago is being around. Here in Denver, I don't know anybody. It's
Yeah.
hard for me to relax or open up. People know me from what I, in the past, but I don't know no one in Denver. I
Yeah.
mean, I played Denver a minute enough times, but just seems like a good place to be, good health care,
Yeah.
you know.
And I don't, Chicago, I never lived there, but I spent a ton of time there.
Yeah,
And, I was as a fan, first and foremost, right? So
yeah,
I mean, to me, it's just like that's an era it's a time that just was so special and
yeah,
it's not there anymore, you know?
yeah, I know.
And
It's
it's,
not,
you know,
you know, I used to just, somebody would call me up and say, hey, Levi, come over and just give me, uh, give me some tracks, man. Just play some licks, whatever.
yeah.
See, a bouncy.
None, nothing incredible. Just do the duty
Yeah.
and put down that booty.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would do. So now I know how to record my bass. I've been using my fiance helped me inherit a Apple. Uh, so now I'm learning how to do it myself. I'm sick of having people. When I saw Sean Payne putting together some stuff, and I was saying he's doing the same thing like Buzz from Thrill Kill. He didn't know how to explain certain technical things, but he knew how to get what he wanted out of certain things. And so that's what it's been with me. So I'll be able to watch. I know when someone's tracking and sampling, and I know I see the graphics on the screen, and I know my way around that. But now I just want to do from from scratch. Like now, I'm happy now that I have enough brain waves now to record my bass, and send my bass, and you can dress it up whatever. I don't, my hand, I was paralyzed. I mean, not paralyzed. I had a stroke, and I was out for like 8 days, and I survived it. And now, I can create. I can still at least create. So I'm dealing with different, programs. Like I'm learning my way around garage band,
Yep.
you know, and I know about loops. I know about loops, everything. I know what loops will go with certain ones. I've seen it so many times. I used to sit up and just make loops.
Yeah.
And now, I hear a song, or I hear it in the music, and I just think back all the times of being in the studio. And I used to wonder if that was the same thing for you, Eric. I mean, you're always in the studio. You're always
Yep.
doing it. I,
I
you
mean, to
know,
me, it's different. There's a different level of like my perspective on it, right? Whereas like I never mastered an instrument, you know? Like, I mean, I
uh,
play guitar, but like to me, it's literally like I play, you know, I'm
play,
playing with it.
yeah,
I'm not a, you know, accomplished instrumentalist.
yeah, yeah,
And so, you know,
yeah,
I always kind of felt like I had a little bit of imposter syndrome, you know, when guys like you come around because it's like, you know, a
yeah,
master of your instrument and even where you're like,
yeah,
so what's the key? And I'm like, I don't know what the key is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know when,
You know, what time signature do you want me to be in? I'd be like, well,
yeah, yeah,
the one I
Mike,
know is 4/4. That's it. You know.
yeah, yeah. I
Right.
know. So now I'm just glad to, and my fingers still move. You know, I have a little neuropathy, you know, and from nerves. So I still practice.
Yep.
God, there's so many bass players that are just incredible.
Yeah.
You know, some of them are just too credible. You know, like, what the fuck? What am I playing bass for? This motherfucker is going nuts. But now I hear this melody, I hear this sound, I hear a groove, I hear it and I lock in on it
Yeah.
and I love it. You know, I'll never lose out on being able to lock in on a feeling, you know.
Right.
Your grooves are on point, man. You know, cloth mic gauze stuff.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I just go like, God, why wasn't I hanging around Eric when he was doing this shit, man?
Well,
I'd
I mean,
be,
I lived in Portland, you know, so
yeah,
it's
I
hard to
know.
figure that out. But you know,
Yeah, I
I
would have.
almost moved to Chicago like twice, but you know,
Uh,
I then was there one time during like the middle of winter. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. You
Fair enough, man.
so, so it's good to see that Sean Payne picked up what Jamie had, you know.
yeah.
So after a while, when I was hanging around Sean, you know,
Yeah.
and just you know when I realized that Sean is doing everything. I want to track, you know. I know you know tracking sometimes you know can be someone from who don't know so much about the technical aspect of it doesn't take away the inspiration, you know.
No.
And you know, and hearing yourself and knowing you too, and knowing all the work you do, man, it's I'm so proud that I know you.
Oh,
I
bro.
really am. You know, when I saw you in the dressing room backstage when I hadn't seen you at the Cold Wave in Chicago, I was like, that wasn't like you said, it was dying down. That wasn't, you know, Jamie used to always, Jamie was one of the guys to go like, uh, go play, do the bass thing, man.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
I would just, whatever. I want to learn. I learned how to run a Fairlight, from hanging around in the house,
Yeah.
and he's like, do something else, But I know we have something in common that makes us all pretty special, and we know what people want. You know, we
Yeah.
know what we want. We know what we want to bring out.
Well, I mean,
And
if from that, you know, from that time,
yeah,
I mean, we could talk for 2 hours about how I got into industrial and all that stuff. But I mean, when I
yeah,
think of, like back then, even for sure, like when you think
hmm
of, like instrumentalists, like who are the two bass players, right? Like for me, there's two bass players in
yeah,
Chicago industrial scene. It's you and Paul Barker. That's all
yeah,
I like, and you know, no
yeah,
disrespect to anybody else, but like that's what comes to mind for me. It's like
Yeah.
yeah,
those are the two. That's the two guys. You know, like
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's probably we all have that perception. I think, especially when you're not like, you know, you're a humble guy. You're down to earth. You know, it's
uh-huh.
hard to give yourself credit sometimes for the impact that you make.
Well, thanks, man. Really does mean a lot. My son told me, he goes, he says, Pops, you go good, and And I miss it a lot when I hear you guys are going on tour, blah, blah, blah. I just go like, wow, I just get geeked up. Like, but I love touring, you know.
Yeah,
I don't care about the money. I don't care about the drugs or whatever. I just know that we made some people go fucking off.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway, we influenced some people, and that's the ticket. That's
Yeah,
what I like to do. That's why I do
Well,
this show to keep me relevant.
yeah.
You know, with these two guys,
I don't think you'll ever have to worry
really
about that,
cool.
Bubba.
You
no,
know,
you'll never have to worry about that, Levi.
Yeah.
I know, man.
So
I just want to let people like,
speaking of crazy, you guys were both in the supergroup Hellbent with Brian Black, Jared Loesch, Jordan No Good back in the day in the mid 90s. From sharing tour time to sharing studio time, what was working with the bass Messiah and these other legends like?
I mean, the short story. So Brian and I did some tour dates together, and actually Levi was on that tour too because he played for Halo Black for quite a while.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
and that's when I kind of met Servo and
Mhm.
stuff like that. Well, no, I think I met Servo Camelot earlier. Anyhow, uh, Brian and I just really like had mutual respect for each other on programming stuff. So we just liked hanging out during that tour that we did,
Mhm.
and we were like, we got to do a project together, man. Like we got to do something. And
Yeah.
so we kind of were talking about different ideas. That tour ended. I think at the
Mhm.
time he was living in Minneapolis, I was here in Portland, and we just one day were like, I have a couple things, and I mean back then it was like hard to send stuff. Like I would have to send
Yeah.
it through the mail, or I mean a CD through the mail or something. It wasn't like, no, let me just shoot you over these tracks real quick. And so
Yeah.
he ended up flying out to my house in Portland, and we spent like a week just doing most of those songs in my
Uh,
basement. And then it was like he flew back, and then we had these tracks, and then it was like, let's send
yeah.
this stuff to Jared and see what he can come up with. Let's send this stuff to Levi and see what he can come up with, and let's send it
Yeah.
to Raymond Watts and see what he can do.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
really there was no point where we were all together. It was very like you
Yeah.
know
I remember.
collaborative through the mail. you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember waiting for Jarrett's tracks in the week, pitching in my money so we can send them money so we can send it back.
Yeah,
Uh, I was on, I had just finished touring and we had, and I was like, Brian said, "Hey man, come to Minneapolis and record." I said, "Okay."
that's right.
So I got a flight from Salt Lake City to Minneapolis, and I got a chance to meet Tricky through
Yeah,
Brian.
Yeah.
Tricky just came out and stuff. That was the first time I ever saw Massive Attack in Brian's uh, CD collection, and so it was like I don't know what to do. It was not much to do in Minneapolis. He would go to work, and I would sit there and listen to CDs and everything, and try to get the spirit of Minneapolis. And we went to the studio. He says, "Come over in the studio," and in the preamps and everything, the bass sound was really good, you know.
yeah,
And I was like, "Wow!" And at the time, some Eric, the when I was putting down the bass tracks for for those sessions, George Clinton came into town, and the engineer at the time, his sister was dating George
Oh,
Clinton,
wow.
and I saw these pictures, and I'm like, "What does this dude with the different braids?"
yeah.
And then I said, "Is that George Clinton, man?" So, oh yeah, my sister's dating him. I go, and then all of a sudden I heard this noise, and they all were coming in to the house, and we were down there putting on the Hellbent things,
Yeah.
and it was like, wow, and put on the bass, and Parliament was all there, and they were all gone.
That's
You
wild.
talk
Yeah.
about you talk
Oh my
about me
God.
partying, those motherfuckers are partying
Oh
ass.
yeah.
But we concentrated
Yeah.
on the album, put it down, and we had just gotten Jared's track,
Uh-huh.
vocal tracks, and that took I waited a week for that.
Right.
We had to mail the money, and everything,
Oh, that's awesome.
and it was, and then we did a show, and we did two or three of the songs from Hellbent,
Yeah.
and it was fucking fat. It
Tried
was
to do it a few times, like I think actually that Chem Lab tour that we did together.
yeah,
Chem Lab
yeah,
and
that was some, yeah. I don't
Mhm.
know,
Tried to do some Hellbent.
yeah, I know. A lot of people weren't taking it serious,
Uh,
So
I mean,
yeah,
after 60 volt and Chem Lab, like I mean, we figured out what was wrong later, but we didn't really
yeah,
realize at the time. It was just like you come out and it's just like these, two, steamroller shows, and then you're gonna put on, Hellbent.
yeah,
Not gonna work, man. We could,
yeah,
not a great
yeah,
idea at the time.
uh,
And
yeah. I know. I remember. But we tried.
yeah, it
But
was fun. 3 albums, and then
yeah,
whatever else, Martin's done with whatever. I have no idea what's
I
next.
don't know either.
but you had fun though, right?
It's like,
Oh yeah, always had fun with that.
yeah, I always have fun, definitely.
That's
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
And I got a chance. I got a chance to. I said, I know this. I know the Eric guy. He's really cool. And and Brian was like, yeah, he is. I'm working. I'm gonna do. We're gonna do this thing. And everything. And it was so cool that you met someone that I met. And I was like, yeah, he's really cool, man. And your drummer at the time, uh, he was Hawaiian, I think.
Oh yeah, Von Vinhasa
Yeah,
from Portland. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
You
good
guys
drummer.
you guys were thirsty. You guys were hungry.
Yep, we
And I was
all
like,
knew what we were doing.
you guys got to just keep going at it, man. If fuckheads like us can make it, I know you guys can make it, for sure,
Right.
damn sure. And when you did that, when we were on that tour with Halo Black, everyone treated Brian, like, you know, just whatever. They didn't take him seriously. And I was like, I go out with you, man. I'm off tour and, I can learn the set and it'll be fun,
Yeah.
just, whatever, man, whatever you can afford, And I was on the label, so I went.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot through those years. I learned about getting, credited, getting, rights for a
Mhm.
lot of stuff that I did. A lot of people, Buzz would always just take care of everything, but a lot of people really took advantage of me being, giving,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
and Brian didn't have much, so I just play.
Yeah.
And I see the guys in Acumen, they were trying really hard. Jason was hard as, but look where he's at now, you know.
Right.
And so I respect him for it, Uh, we all tried, man. We all were struggling. We
Yeah.
all were working, I wasn't all it wasn't always glory, spotlights and stuff for me, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't even like Wax Tracks. I'm from Chicago. It's like
Right.
there's a Wax Tracks, all they're doing is signing guys. They're not signing bands, they're signing machines.
Yeah.
So I remember when Acumen, when I was part of it all, I remember Acumen got their promo package sent to Wax Track,
Yeah.
and someone just slugged that motherfucker, the
Yeah.
garbage can. I was like, no, man, this guy, I go, I know Jamie Duffy, man. You guys fucking get this shit out of the garbage. Listen to it.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. You guys aren't even music critics. You guys listen to what's cool around here. And Jim and Dan didn't have any critics. Didn't have any a staff like that, you know. So I was like, fuck that, you know. Treat those as cool, and you like them to treat you the same way, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. So that's what, you know, Chem Lab. Like I said, every show on the one tour, it was Sister Machine Gun and Chem Lab.
I remember that tour.
Every show Chem Lab did. That's when I realized that Jared was like Mick Jagger.
Yep.
You know, he's a fucking spastic Mick Jagger.
It's a Mick Jagger industrial for
Yeah.
sure.
And
Yeah.
so that
Awesome.
was my connection with them. You know, I play. I felt sorry. Dylan wouldn't get the levels together. 1 minute the song's this loud, and next minute
Yeah.
we were a hot mess. But
It's
we,
yeah, I mean the whole thing is just a hot mess, but like, somehow
yeah,
it all works out and
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
we're
Man,
our own worst critics, I think, like
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. But there were people to this day, man. People walk up to me and go, "Dude, I remember you sweat," and I would wipe the sweat off and shoot it like a pistol, and it just squirt on people's face, beads of sweat,
yeah.
and they look around and they go, "Oh, that's that motherfucker," you
Oh
know.
my God, that's awesome.
But
And they
I
love it.
Yeah,
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 so
totally.
so that's all. I'm just making it through. Just making it through, man. Making it through. This format helps rekindle some of the things that I've been through.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
A
sure.
lot of stories. And now I realize how I see how people might have seen
Yeah.
me in a different light, or whatever. There were some people that did not like me, you know, and I didn't know this,
Yeah, well, fuck those people.
I mean, I have
for
the
whatever
same.
reason.
I think
But I
anytime you
don't
do
think I've
something
ever been
that
a terrible.
anytime you do something that is creative and comes from,
Mm,
you somewhere along the line, like someone's not gonna like you. I've
Oh yeah.
definitely
mm,
I've burned some bridges for sure. And I mean,
mm.
back, I mean, somebody told me like you were really arrogant, and I was like, really? Like I
What?
think I
Yeah.
wasn't
Arrogant?
arrogant. I was like scared to like talk to you, or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
there's
know. I know. I know there. I walk by and people be like quiet and I'm just a normal guy,
I'm shy and riddled with
whatever.
ADD. Leave me alone.
Right. I'm like wondering if they're like,
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
what's this kid
I
doing
know.
backstage, man? Get this fucking out of here.
I know. That's they were saying that at the time when we ran the time. It's
Oh
like,
my God.
shoot, what are you doing talking to these people? I go, I'm talking to them because you know, they were waiting around for us.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, that's why.
That stuff lasts too.
I, you know,
Those memories that you build with your fans doing stuff like that.
yeah,
It sets milestones for people. You don't realize
yeah,
how important that shit is. But I mean, we're all fans, all of us. That's one of the things I really like about this show and the guests we have on. We're all legitimate fans, and
Yeah.
mhm,
I mean, fans of each other too. Like, I mean, I'm a
yeah,
fan.
yeah,
exactly.
Like,
Dude, Levi speaks so fucking highly of you, Eric.
yeah.
Tenacious talent, I think, is how he worded it.
Nations.
High praise from someone with the collaborative history he has. It feels mutual from someone else with a truly impressive collaborative history.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful thing to
It
witness
makes me
that.
it
And
makes me feel so good when I hear, Eric is like, is doing what you're doing.
yeah,
Man, it's so cool. So fucking
thank you,
cool.
man.
yeah,
Thank
yeah. Well,
Totally.
Eric, can you tell us what drew you to Levi?
you. I mean, for me, it was Thrill Kill. So, I mean, the first industrial show I ever saw live was Thrill Kill Cult, like I was saying.
Yeah,
I was living at the time in Lake Tahoe, and a friend of mine knew someone they were playing in Salt Lake City. So we drove all the way to Salt Lake City to meet him. And I mean, it was like in my brain, I thought we were going to this huge concert, like there's thousands of people. And We got there and I don't know what happened, but the promoter did something, fucked it up. And then, I think there was probably like 30 people there. And I ended up meeting them. And I had sent Thrill Kill Cult a tape that I did like a
Uh,
while before that. And so when I met the band, this was before Levi was in the band. I think this was actually Thrill Kill's like first US tour.
yeah, yeah,
I met him and stuff. And then I think it was either Groovy or Buzz told me, "Oh, I listened to some of the stuff. There's some cool stuff there, but you need to get a sequencer." Because I wasn't using a sequencer at the time. I was just like playing stuff by hand, like
yeah,
overdubbing, 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 overdub. So
yeah,
okay, I gotta look into that, and um, yeah. Anyways, and then I ended up going to recording school and all that stuff. But later on when Thrill Kill was coming through, and I think at that point we had met somewhere. I think it might have been at a Chem Lab show or something like that. And so I was like, oh, we got to go down and see, Thrill Kill. Like Levi's playing with Thrill Kill now, blah, blah, blah. And I don't remember who I took, but, it was probably some guys from my band or whatever. We went down there. I think we were just, we knew all the Lulu people or whatever. So we were just
yeah,
back in that load-in area,
yeah,
backstage, like waiting for you to come off the bus, waiting for guys to come off the bus. And,
yeah,
I remember, I think it was like, yeah, sometime in the afternoon, we went down there early and, I think I just went up to you and was like, hey man, what's going on? I'm Eric.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
so we were just immediately freaking cool, and you're like, "Hey, man, yeah, come on backstage or whatever." And we just hung out kind of the whole day. It seemed like, and
yeah,
Yeah.
you
yeah,
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
They remind me of when I would be in Chicago when I worked for Jam Production, and I see all these whoever's coming in town, and I get to meet, and I start working for Jam,
Yeah.
mhm.
and I got to be backstage, see, watch the dressing rooms of certain artists, and got to meet them and how they act around people, and the production. Saying thanks to the crew guys. I always said thanks to crew guys when we would leave, load
Yep,
out or something. Always,
yeah.
you
I
know.
mean, for me, that was like, after working in a studio as an intern and just getting shit on,
Yeah,
I'm never, if I ever get the opportunity to be a client, like I'm not gonna treat people that way. Like I'm gonna pick up my
Right.
own trash, like,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
there's the thing about like never meet your heroes, and I have met some people that were my heroes that like, were dicks or whatever. And,
yeah,
I just was always like, I don't want to ever want to be like that, and
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't think I have it in me to be like that, first of all, but like, it
yeah,
was,
You don't seem like the kind of person.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Nah,
that's fucking awesome, man. It's a great thing to see, to meet the people that are important to Levi, for me,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
because he has just
I
radiates
mean,
about you, and
yeah,
it's
I
fucking
got a
beautiful.
chance to I got a second chance in life.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's really cool,
yeah,
you know.
Gives you a whole
And
different perspective of like having to appreciate,
yeah,
not having
big
to
time.
like appreciate, like just not
Appreciate.
naturally
Yeah,
appreciate.
yeah.
yeah. So now, you know, so when am I gonna load? When am I loading up?
Yeah, yeah. When's
You
bus
know,
call?
yeah, what's the best call? Yeah,
Yeah.
Jason's handling it now. So
Oh, yeah.
Jason's playing bass now, huh?
Mm.
Well, he's going to be there anyway because he's,
Yeah,
he's
he's
doing the
managing.
frontline stuff, and then he's also,
Yeah,
part of the ministry tour.
Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
right. He's
So
helping.
yeah, they're going to
That's
be
right.
there. So
Yeah.
it just
Isn't
worked
that
out that he
that's
was going to be there. Yeah.
yeah, that's crazy.
I
Jason, Jason is like up there,
Yeah.
yeah.
doing it and stuff.
Yeah. No,
Wow.
Cold Waves is definitely showing a lot of people that he can wrangle a
Yeah,
lot.
Oh
yeah,
Like,
he's
fuck yeah.
always been able to
Yeah.
wrangle.
yeah.
Motherfuckers
No, I
hard
think
ass.
I what was it, in person at the ministry frontline assembly Gary Newman tour that just happened what was it? It's a couple of
Mhm.
years back now, I guess. But that was the first time I think I met Jason, 'cause he's friends with Joey.
Mhm.
They're really close, and
Mhm.
Joey was like, make sure you say hi to Jason. So then Jason and his I think is his wife were there.
Kelly. Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh,
She's
who are you?
awesome.
I'm like, oh, I'm just a
Yeah,
guy that Joey knows that just told me to say hi.
Yeah. I think
So
Kelly's like Al's like assistant or something now.
Yeah.
God bless her.
I can't believe
God
they're
bless her, exactly. Yeah.
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 I can't believe they're gonna do the Swirly Years tour right in the middle of Mechanismus though.
Right? How dare they? I
Fuckers.
I
Damn
actually
you, Al.
I said I was talking to JC the other day and I said like, so what time is Al gonna be down to do the guest vocals on the Cut Collector, you know? And he's like, well, if we're gonna cancel the date that night because you guys are playing or we're playing at Mechanismus or whatever. Just joking that Ministry is gonna cancel it. They don't want to compete against 16 volt that night. Get the hell out. Yeah, pretty funny.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Featured Louis Vitek on guitar.
Right.
Yeah.
Taking a step back, let's hear about young Eric. What is your first memory of art having a profound effect on you?
Oh my geez. So my mom was a classically trained pianist. We had piano in the house, and then my dad was a guitar player, and I always had instruments around. So I mean, for me, it was just like that was just I just kind of had instruments. It wasn't really
Mm.
something where I was like, oh, I want to get a guitar, and like I mean, I had them, so I always
Yeah.
played them with them like toys and stuff. But I mean, I think for me. Yeah, I mean, I always liked music and listening to music and all that stuff. But for me, the most profound thing, the biggest life-changing thing for me was there was a record store in Reno, and he used to get Wax Trax promo stuff, like cutout stuff. And at the time, I was like really into punk rock, but I also really like new wave stuff, right? So to me, like early Wax Trax stuff was really a combination of like punk and new wave in a way. And he gave me this video. It was called "You Goddamn Son of a Bitch," which was the
Oh,
Revolt.
yes.
And so, I went home and I put that video in, and I mean that video changed my life. Um, and it was Revolting Cocks at Cabaret Metro in Chicago.
Mhm.
Um, that's
That
when
was
that's when it all
awesome.
like everything just locked in, and that's when I was like, that is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
I want to do that.
that's a
Mhm.
good answer, man. Holy
And
shit. What a
you know,
fucking great video. Oh my
and
God.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was like all in on it, and
Luke Van Acker in that just
oh yeah,
fuck, dude.
and Acker,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh my God. Yeah.
I was
And
there.
the Revco Pussy
yeah,
Girl, just fucking A, man. Oh my God.
right, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that whole thing is such a wild thing for me because that was my like Revco was my band, like
Yeah, me
Mhm.
too. That's
so,
kind of
like
how the one that really locked me in when I started. That was Revco and the You Goddamn Son of a Bitch. Yeah.
yeah, and so I mean, from that, that's when I really started getting into like all the different bands, Wax Trax and Thrill Kill and
Yeah.
all the stuff around Wax Trax. I yeah, know a couple guys in Puppy and stuff. I was sort of a fan of Puppy, but that's still it was not really my vibe. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
for me, it was all the Wax Trax stuff, and I mean, I even had like a leather jacket with like the big Sam Sexy Land cover painted on it and stuff.
Mhm.
Oh, fucking sweet.
So it was, the story for me that's so weird, or I don't even know the word for it, but flash forward, 30 years or whatever it was, when I got asked to play with Revco, when they were doing the shows at Cold Waves, um, like a couple of years in a row, and I got to sing and play guitar with everyone, in the band, like except for Al. Um, and I actually went and got my Revolting Cocks tattoo. I don't know if you can
Holy
see.
shit.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
But
Nice.
yeah, to be on stage at Metro playing with Revco was just like,
Damn.
I guess I did it.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
That's
Wow,
awesome.
wild, and yeah, that first day of rehearsing with them, I mean, I was shaking, like which, there's 30 years
I
I've been
can
doing this for
imagine.
like 30 years, you know what I mean? It's like whatever,
Yeah.
I'm friends with all these guys. And,
You're like
you
on
know,
stage. Okay, shit, I can't remember the song. Oh.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was Jason Novak. Was it Jason? Somebody backstage, like right before I was going on, had a cowboy hat and put a cowboy hat, took my hat off and put the cowboy hat on, and
Uh-huh.
they're just like, you have to wear this. I was like, okay, I'm going, and I went up. But yeah, I was totally nerve-wracked, totally starstruck, and just blown away. And the whole week, I was just like, I can't believe this is actually happening. Like this is just
Yeah.
totally wild. So that
Mm.
for me is probably the most profound
Wow.
thing.
You know those you
That's
know
a great fucking
the
answer, dude.
lyrics. The lyrics were on boards, like art boards.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
Al had someone write down the lyrics for Chris Conley.
Yeah.
And so he had the cowboy hat so he can
So he
sing.
can sing and look down and
Yeah,
see the lyrics. Yeah.
yeah. And
That's a fucking great trick. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my
Hold
God.
it way down so you can't see your
Yeah,
eyes
yeah,
looking at your
my
telephone.
Aussie Outback hat covers my eyes a little bit. Yeah,
yeah.
I've
So
got goggles on
I
top, so it
remember
doesn't
getting the
matter.
guitars and tossing them out for them, changing the guitars and
That's
uh,
that's awesome, man.
That's fucking hilarious. Oh my God.
yeah, yeah. That was an indication. So you did that with the Cox, huh?
Fucking
Yeah.
A, man.
Wow,
Damn. That's impressive as hell. That
that's
really is.
it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Al didn't come out, did he?
No, that was when they were kind of like, him and Paul
Yeah,
were
yeah,
the outs.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting old.
We gotta stop
We're
that
not
shit,
getting any
man.
younger.
Well, it
Yeah.
looks like they're trying to, though, which is a good thing.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to them being back in the studio and doing something that's
yeah,
I mean, who
fucking.
knows? It might have already happened and that was
It
that,
may
but
have.
it
It
sounds
may
great
have.
on paper or on screen.
I've got high hopes. Don't dash them, guys, please. 'Cause holy
Right.
shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, it's a magic combination, man.
yeah,
And who knows?
yeah.
yeah,
Chemistry, even though it was
Lightning in
probably
a
highly
fucking bottle,
volatile.
dude. Yeah,
yeah.
Uh,
man.
yeah. I mean, I've heard so many stories about just being at tracks and like listening to, guys that were working on our stuff that were like second engineers on just stories that you hear about that whole
Hmm.
dynamic is just,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
I
wild, man.
want to. I want to hang out with Luke Van Acker, man. That's what I want. Seriously, I want to hang out with that dude. I want to hear his stories. I want to fucking
Yeah.
hang out. Fucking
Yeah.
yeah.
He's a cool guy. I got
He's got some really fucking cool music too.
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
for sure, man.
just holy shit, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he got a hold of me when I was working with Dave Ogilvy on some stuff way back. Luke got a hold of me because Dave was telling him about this little case that I had that held DAT tapes.
Yeah. All
He
right.
thought it was
On.
this cool thing, and so somehow he was talking to Luke, and Luke sent me an email, and he was like, "I heard you have this cool DAT case thing. I really want to get it. Like, how do I get it?" And I was like, "Dude, oh my God, I'm like a huge fan." Blah blah blah. So it's
Oh my God, that's awesome.
yeah,
Oh man.
wild, but yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah.
kind of kept in touch for a while, but I haven't talked to him for a long time. But
Yeah.
He didn't say come to Belgium.
yeah, Belgium. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, in the transitional times between your parents' soundtrack and influence to finding your own voice and self, what were you listening to?
Oh wait, now what? For the new
Yeah.
record?
No, 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 no,
Oh
no.
wait.
Wait. This we're still talking about Eric the Younger.
Oh, the youngster.
Yeah, in the transitional times between that space where you're listening to your parents' music and influence and
Oh, right.
developing your own, and but yeah,
Yeah.
what was going on in Eric the Younger's soundtrack back then?
Mostly influenced mostly by my mom's stuff, but I mean, she was so progressive. Like the second I saw something, like she would buy it and like be like, "Oh, here you go," or whatever. So, but I mean, she was very like, um, she didn't really like rock and roll. She didn't like the Beatles. She was like not anti-Beatles, but just didn't understand. Like she was more listening to like Lou Rawls and
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
stuff like that.
She's on the
Uh,
soul tip.
yeah,
yeah,
just
yeah.
so
Yeah.
and like ABBA. I was like,
Fucking
so
ABBA,
eight
man. You
track.
can't go
I mean,
wrong with ABBA.
yeah, we pop in the ABBA 8 track and flip through the 4 programs to find them.
Yeah. Oh my God, 8 tracks. Holy shit.
But yeah, I mean, my mom was like one of those like cool moms and stuff. But like, I remember when MTV was coming around, and we had cable, and so the cable company was like, a new channel's coming called Music Television. My mom was like, "Oh, that sounds cool. I'll sign up for that." So I was there when they like turned on,
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
and
Radio killed the video star,
yeah,
or no, video killed the radio
yeah,
star.
yeah.
Yep.
So we were like sitting in front of it, and that was really like so all that kind of stuff is when I really started to get more interested in music. But I mean, yeah, I was a
Yeah.
lot of new wave stuff. Devo is a huge thing for me.
Mhm.
And then
But
also
Adam and the Ants back then too. Holy shit.
oh Yeah, I was like
Yeah,
massive.
they're dual drummers. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, incredible, man. And but then like The Cure, New Order, but
Hmm.
before that was like a lot of metal stuff. So like AC/DC, Iron Maiden. I was like was my number one band for many years, like through high school, early high school. Iron Maiden was my band.
Yeah.
But
I,
yeah, AC/DC, just all that kind of stuff. And then I kind of got into like the punk stuff for a while. I'm from Southern California, so it was like there's so much punk going on
Yeah.
during the
Like
time.
Huntington Beach area.
More Orange County or like even Ventura County stuff.
Oh, okay.
There
Right
was a
on.
band called Ill Repute from Oxnard that I was really into, and
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Oxnard. I love
Oxnard.
singing.
Yeah, I used to surf down there, so it was a lot of like
Oh, sweet.
stuff and yeah,
surfing.
surfing. Yeah,
Surfing. Yeah. Yeah, I
stopped
grew up in
when I moved to
Florida.
Oregon.
Look, wearing the Ron John stuff, going out to Daytona Beach,
Yeah,
trying poorly. I was just a little kid. I didn't know what I was doing.
Florida
I
has
didn't
no
know
waves.
I didn't have a surf. I didn't even have a surfboard, but I'd take a raft out and yeah, fun times.
Yeah,
I wasn't cool enough to wear the Ron John stuff when I was back in the day. I was a little chubby kid that everybody made fun of. So
yeah,
yeah,
that was more of like an East Coast thing, I think, right?
yeah, Ron Johns. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So in 2000, you were sucked into a video game like Tron.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Sony
true.
Entertainment and PlayStation game Primal featured the album Super Cool Nothing and even saw you guys skinned as game characters. Dude, please tell us about that.
That is true. Yeah, man, what a weird time. So yeah, our string of odd bad luck with the music business came in our third record, Let Down Crush, which was going to be our first major label distributed record. We were still on Re-Constriction Cargo, but it got picked up for distribution through IRS, the
Okay.
old label IRS.
Yeah.
Um, Boxes started showing up at Cargo, and IRS folded, and so they all got trashed, and the record had to be reprinted because it had an IRS logo on it. So that uh, didn't happen. So that record came out, and we like toured the hell out of that record, and that's when Chase was really starting to get really good at like doing the promo stuff. So we had like interviews everywhere, like it was great. We were doing awesome, and so for our fourth record, we were like, we gotta like, it's time for us to try to go after like the major thing, right? Like
Yeah.
we gotta level up. That's when like my brain started to get mixed with like I kind of lost track of why I was doing this and kind of got like career. Like I wanted start to get like interviews and you start to see success. Maybe by that
Yeah.
time I had like a Rolling Stone #1 or something in the alternative charts. And it was like you start to like chase those moments, because they're like some weird accolade.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we're like major label, major label. And so we shopped around quite a bit. We got kind of lumped into like the new rock scene down in LA, and a lot of labels really interested in us, but like not really sure what we were supposed to be. Like, why do you guys have these like keyboards and shit? Like we were shopping around 3 songs from Super Cool Nothing that we had worked on with before we were working with Bill Kennedy and stuff, but people were interested and it just kept going on and on. And finally we were just like, dude, this is ridiculous. Let's just like figure something out. And that's when the Slip Disc out of Chicago was kind of forming. And they had a couple bands that were coming around. And more so than Slip Disc, they were distributed by Mercury Polygram.
Mhm.
So we had a good manager at that point who was like, yeah, yeah, Slip Disc, that's great. I want to talk to the people at Mercury. And so that's kind of what he did, right? He like flew out to New York and like just got us all into their system and like everybody was really loving it. And of course this is after we did the record and we had the record, he went out and met with Mercury, so we were all set, like everything was going to be great. The VP of radio at Mercury, it was like, I'm personally going to work these songs at radio. Like everything looked really great, and then we started doing like our warm-up shows, and we were getting dates, like we would play with Limp Bizkit and Korn and shit like that. While we were on that tour, I was we didn't have a business manager. We were talking to one, but we didn't have it set up yet. And I was taking checks on my personal account
Yeah.
for, and got a tour support check and it bounced. And I was like, what is going on? And so,
Oh,
call up the manager and he's like looking into it, takes a couple days. And what turns out is that none of us knew this, but Seagram's had bought Polygram, and because that happened, everything froze at Mercury.
Wow.
And then because the investors in Slipdisk put their money into Slipdisk because they were being distributed through Mercury Polygram over the course of about 2 weeks, it all fell apart. And so we had to come home and like, the record was not going to really come out, is what we were told. They had printed the record and then again, it just all fell apart. This is a really long story. I could tell you this story and it's going to last 5 hours. So I'm trying to make it short. But we basically were told that the record was going to come out. They weren't going to drop us, but they were going to sell it to Island Records,
Hmm.
and it was going to come out as a catalog item. So we were really bummed about that because we really felt like that was the record. Like this is it. Like we could
Yeah.
really take us places. And it was like the people we were working with, like Bill Kennedy. He's like, this is one of the best records I've ever worked on in my life. And like,
Yeah.
he didn't even have to stick around. Like he produced the record, but he kept being involved. He'd like call us every day and be like, what's going on? And he'd call our manager and trying to make connections. I mean, we just had a pretty good little machine behind us. And like all of a sudden it was dead.
Mm.
And so it took us, I think, about a year to try and figure out like what was going on. It did come out as a catalog item. And then there was this guy who uh, was new in town, and he was kind of starting a new. He was a manager. He was looking for a band to manage, and he was like friends with some of the people that we knew that were helping our stuff. So they hooked us up with this new manager, and he ended up getting investing in the record and buying it off of whatever it was at that point, Island or Mercury,
Mhm.
and so he bought the whole thing for like 50 grand or something. And then so he owned it. And so we released it through him, but we tried to shop it at first. Again, this could take forever. So we were shopping to a bunch of labels and we had like maybe like 4 or 5 labels, not like a bidding war, but like we were talking to majors. And really it came down to like, well, this has already come out, right? And we're like, dude, this record has not really come out. Like there's probably, 1,000 people who've heard it. Like
Yeah.
it's nothing compared to what you guys can do, and
Yeah.
got really frustrated. And at that point I was like, I quit, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And anyways, we released it on this guy's label. It's called Dark City Music, and it just kind of came out. And it was just like, what a bummer. And I was really burnt out at the time, and so whatever, kind of stopped doing music and put all my shit in storage. And um, so yeah, this whole period, I think it was maybe like 2 years of this like lull. And I'm trying to remember what came first, the chicken or the egg. I think we got kind of bored and we decided that we were going to do a show just for fun. But I'm trying to remember what the timeline was on that, but it doesn't really matter. So, um, out of the blue, the creative director for that game called Primal, from Sony Computer Entertainment Europe, I guess he was a fan, and I say it just like I did in the stupid interview that I did for him, but it was like he was a fan of the band and he called me or emailed me or whatever it was and asked if we would be interested to be a part of this video game. And
Mhm.
I was like, well, what? Yeah, like, what's this all about? And so through the course of talking with them, he had this, game he's doing for PlayStation. He worked at Sony Computer. So this was a Sony Computer Entertainment game for PlayStation. And they wanted to use a couple songs off of Super Cool Nothing. And so we kind of spun it back to him like, we have an entire album that hasn't really been released. Like, do you guys just want the album? And so they were like, yeah, that's awesome. We'll take it. And so
Right on.
in the Europe version of the game, one it comes with two discs. One is the game and the other is Super Cool Nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's
That's
kind of
fucking
awkward.
badass, dude.
Yeah. And so part of that was that they were like, part of the game story is that the main character has a boyfriend who has a band. And
Yeah.
so, we got skinned into the opening cinematics and stuff. So yeah.
Hmm.
Hey,
Yeah, and so
yeah.
from that game, then like right after that happened, then came FDM got a hold of us and like asked us to go on tour with them. We're like, yeah, we'll go do that. And then while we were on tour, Capitol, we signed a deal with Capitol and came back from that tour and did a deal with Capitol. So it was all back on, and that was just sort of madness. And then that whole thing fell apart. That's a whole nother story of
Yeah.
Oh,
madness.
Yeah.
well, damn,
Yeah.
dude. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I know with the goofballs that I hang out with, our set, um, having their own action figure is a pretty big deal, but having your own fucking video game character skin, that's fucking up there, man.
It's
That's
pretty
pretty
neat.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I actually showed my kid because I have a PlayStation. I got a PS4, a couple weeks,
yeah,
or not weeks, I don't know, maybe like last year.
yeah.
First thing I did, of course, was download Primal because I have to do that and show my kids, right? And
Hmm.
they've
Yeah.
seen it and I've showed it to them before, but it's been enough time that they didn't remember it. So I was like showing them that.
That's
We saw
fucking
that game, Dad.
Yeah. And
that's
the
awesome.
interview I did with PlayStation Underground back there is it's wild. It's just kind of cringy for me because I'm wearing a Von Dutch hat. You
Uh-huh.
That was like the cool hat to have, back then. So I had a Von
Oh
Dutch
yeah,
hat on.
yeah. Should have been wearing a Kangol, man.
Yeah. If I knew George Clinton had listened, I probably would have
Right? Oh
Yeah,
my God.
something with a little more soul in it.
yeah. A little bit so.
Last year saw the self-produced released albums The Negative Space and Dead on Arrival from 2016 and 2017, respectively, combined for Metropolis release of Negative on Arrivals. Did you get these remastered, re-recorded, or tweaked in any way?
No. So basically, we had kind of a little bit of a falling out with Metropolis. Um, and we decided to kind of go do we tried to take another run at like getting a producer and, trying to do like a record and shop it to like majors and tried to, have another run at like, let's
Mhm.
Yeah,
give it another go. So
yeah.
we
We
started
want
working
to
with
put
this
it to.
producer, Mark Jordan out of LA. And that was for, I always get the names messed up now. That was for the Negative Space. So we worked on that with him for about a year. He's a great producer, awesome drummer, amazing drum producer. And really for me, just to be brutally honest, like I was not really in a great place personally during that time, and really kind of leaned on him probably more than was fair to. Um, and also both ways, right? Like he probably took that and did more than he should have. And so at the end of the day, with that record, once it was done and it kind of sat around, it was definitely not one of my favorite records. I think there's moments on that record that are like incredible, but as a 16-volt record, I just feel like it's not a great representation of what we're about, right? So that record was kind of a bad experience for me, I guess, overall. And so the next EP that we put out was sort of like our response to that record to try to like have like redeem ourselves a little bit. And so, it was sort of like based in the same sort of theme, it kind of looks the same. It's like white versus the black one. We have like the same artist that did the cover. And, it was sort of like I said, like a response to that record, try to say like, hey, we didn't lose it,
Yeah.
And so after that, that record, I mean, that's self-produced, self-pressed. Um, we didn't sell that many copies of it. You know what I mean? Our hardcore fans bought it and stuff. But I mean, I still have a pile of them here. But I kind of got back with what had happened really was like when Metropolis, Dave Heckman passed away. And his wife, Gail, who I've, always been fond of, decided that she was going to take over the label. She came to me and was like, "Hey, do you know that we owe you money?" I was like, "I mean, I had a feeling." Um, and so I got paid, which was rad.
Yeah.
So we just kind of, kind of sort of like reinvigorated the good relationship.
Oh,
Uh,
Yeah.
that's
and so, it was like, you should come back to the label and da da da. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm totally into it. And so rather than like just put those records out, we were like, let's just combine those two records and like put it out while we're working on the new record.
Yeah.
And just to kind of
yeah,
like stay on people's radar. So that was kind of what that was. Combination of the two records.
yeah.
Kind of picked like what I felt were like the most representative 16 volt songs
Mhm.
of those two records. And
So you did kind of collaborate or not collaborate, but consolidate the tracks so
yeah,
that they're
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it
Have the
literally
original
goes
releases, there's other tracks on the original releases that are not on the combined release.
right.
Kind of
And
like
like
when Skinny Puppy did Bites and Remission and Bites.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Just kind of mix them. And I think it literally like it alternates, if I remember correctly. I think it's like one song from the first one, next one's the second, kind of goes back and forth.
Okay.
But and that really was just to like have it on the label because it's like
Yeah.
it's sort of like spot. And I mean, you know, after all that being said and done, like talking with Mark after the fact, it was like, I think he felt kind of bad about it too. He's like, I didn't give you guys a 16-volt record. I should have listened more and, paid more attention to the legacy and blah, 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 blah. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we're all good and everything. There's no like,
Good.
bad blood or anything, but yeah, that was kind of the whole reason around that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Time's an amazing thing, ain't it?
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
little bit of it pass and I'd be amazed at the weird different things that can come of it. And
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
fucking love that. So in how do I say this? In respect to the name of your band, here is question 16.
Oh. I didn't know we were numbering them, and
I no,
Yeah,
we when I was going through it last night, I was like, yeah, so do you have anything else you would like to talk about or promote today?
well, I guess we could talk about. Yeah, we do have the new record coming out, right? That's super exciting. I'm excited for this record. I think I think the fans are going to be stoked on it. Everybody I mean, I feel like they're being honest to me. They're like, this is a good one, dude. Like you did good. Like this is up
yeah,
there.
I'm
So I'm hoping that
fucking
that's
so excited. Yeah,
people feel like that too. Because when you have a big catalog, I mean, of course, there's like
yeah,
I don't love every single record the same way.
yeah.
yeah,
I'm proud of everything that I've done, but there's ones that I feel stronger for than other ones, right? And so I know I have sort of like a number of them that are like the faves, right? So I feel like
Okay.
this one is going to be in that group. But with all that, so we have the single coming out June 20th for White Noise, and then the album comes out July 25th.
July
Um,
25th. Yeah.
before this album was turned in, we actually started working on re-releasing vinyl for the first few albums that 16 Volt did, right? So Wisdom, our first record, is coming out on limited edition vinyl in June. And it's like a transparent yellow vinyl.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, pretty cool. So we're gonna do that one, and then the next one we'll do is Skin, and then Let Down Crush, and then we might end it there, or we might do Super Clothing. I'm not quite sure what the label's gonna want to do yet, but
Right on.
yeah,
yeah,
But this is all Metropolis, so yeah.
Metropolis, yeah.
yeah.
Fucking excellent, dude.
And I would
Excellent.
assume that they'll probably have that up on the pre-order pretty soon. We will have copies of that for the few that will be at Mechanismus. Uh,
Mechanismus, yes.
yeah, it's funny. Every time I pronounce it
Miss.
different every time I say it.
Hold one for me, please.
Yeah, well, you'll be there early, so um, I mean, I'll
Yeah.
see you before the doors, I'm sure. But yeah, so we're bringing that to that show, and we'll have them for sale there for people, and
Excellent.
it'll go
And
up.
you're going to be able to find the new album. It's gonna be on Metropolis, obviously. Bandcamp, I imagine, and
Yep,
and
it'll be everywhere.
16.com. Yeah.
Yep.
And then the
In my
streaming and
mailbox.
whatnot platforms and everything as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yep. It'll be everywhere, and then that is also going to have vinyl, so CD and vinyl.
Right
Hmm.
on. Dude,
Yeah, and digital, of course.
amazing, man. Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
been
good to see Metropolis like investing back in vinyl. I think Dave Heckman did not like vinyl. I don't know what it was, but he just didn't like it.
well,
Um,
that was the time, man.
that was
CDs
the
were the
time.
thing,
Yeah.
it was
Now,
easier, cheaper, and you
yeah,
could get more money for them.
that's true. Yeah.
So yeah, it was a whole thing. I used to work at the used record stores and stuff, and Yeah, I remember when the CDs first came out, they're indestructible. And you're like,
Right.
oh, they're
That's not
fucking
true.
not. They are very, very fragile. Oh my God,
Absolutely.
Jesus.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
used to
exactly.
have
I mean,
we
even
used
for
to
this
have
one,
one we nailed to a post at Cellophane Square, saying "indestructible my ass" on it.
right, with a crack in it or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Eric, thank you so much for sharing time with us today. It has been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it's been fun
You
talking to you guys.
keep your eyes peeled for more of less coming to you from Metropolis. You'll find it there on the 16 volt site, on Bandcamp, and the streaming platforms. If you're in Seattle for Mechanismus, don't miss this performance. It's going to be a fucking
Should
hell
be
of a it's going to be a hell of a show,
got
man.
some we got some good collections of stuff. Like we're playing some older stuff, some
Mhm.
mellow stuff, and some barn burning stuff, like we like to call them. Some barn
Yeah.
burner.
Yeah, fucking right on, man. And there's going to be some special merch there too. So
That's true. We have a
right on.
limited edition gun girl that we're going to be selling.
Ooh, awesome. All right. Well, if you see me there, feel free to come by and say hi. And let us know on video what you think of 16 Volt and the other bands that are playing. And we'll have a great time. Ghouls and bones and assorted other spooky bits. This brings us to the end of another episode, dedicated as ever to our dear friend Jason Lupo. This one on the heels of mine and Jason's shared birthday, April 23rd, or as I like to refer to it, for magic and for chaos. We miss you, Jason. We miss you a lot. I will keep the Torian fire burning for you, my brother. We all wish his wife Cherry, his son Gavin, and his nephews who adored him our love and support. The show wouldn't be without Jason. Rest in power, buddy. Please keep your minds on being the counterbalance for the weird place we found ourselves in. We are better than we think, stronger than we know, and good will prevail. Breathe, put down the phone, silence the screens, step away from the static, at least for a little while. Take care of each other. We have to stick together. Don't forget, we love you. Peace. Love, hugs, and belly rubs, everybody. Cheers.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. Love you, Levi.